Okay, so I want to kind of blow the doors open here about possibilities of stimulation. And the bottom line of stimulation is it depends on what works. Results are the criteria without, first of all, doing no harm. Huh? First, do no harm. And unfortunately, the other guys have bypassed that promise, that oath. There's a lot of harm done. There's been harm done to me, harm done to my wife. So personally, our family's experienced that. So Aldous Huxley had a definition for medicine. The only medicine for suffering, crime, and all the other woes of mankind is wisdom. And I would like to call our medicine wisdom medicine. Because we have learned how to do what works by throwing away what does not work. And we haven't been mired in and tied down by profit in the process. There are drugs and procedures and medicine out there that is doing harm, contrary to the oath. First, do no harm. And if no treatment means not doing harm, then we got to elect that until we can find a treatment that works and doesn't harm and doesn't take one step forward, two steps back, or one step forward, one step back with the harm piece. So I spent about 14 years working at the largest drug and alcohol treatment center at the time in Illinois, Nicasa, up in Lake County, working with addicts, alcoholics, and violent offenders. And these people who had behavioral issues, they had gotten into trouble and it burned and it crashed and burned. Found, thanks to my work being trained by the granddaddy, Michael Smith, Dr. Michael Smith of NADA, who came up with this 5-point protocol in the ear. And Joe Chang at Fort Bliss discovered that those 5 points could also be used for PTSD and wrote a book about Chinese medicine and PTSD. And central to that was this protocol, the NADA protocol, of Shen Men, sympathetic, and then the 3 organs, kidney, which detoxes the body, plus its emotional attribute is fear. And the liver, which detoxes the body, and its emotional characteristic is anger. And the lung, which detoxes the body. The skin is the 3rd lung. And so we get rid of toxins through exhaling and through using sweating poisons out. So we have these major detox organs that are incorporated in these points in the ear to detox, and they have emotional attributes that you find a lot in PTSD and in addiction, which drives people to addiction, which is fear, anger, and grief with the lungs. Grief. Suppressed fear, suppressed anger, suppressed grief. And we live in a world where we are totally assaulted by these emotions. So auricular medicine that was championed was discovered by Noget was championed by Michael Smith. I have taken up to the surgical theater at Stroger. I've taken the darts. This is going to be heavy duty, and then I'm going to go to something much simpler. And I've taken the ASP needles, which are darts, and they're magnetized. And based on Galvin's law, what is Galvin's law? Do you know what Galvin's law is? It's the principle of the battery. If you take two poles of dissimilar metals, you will have a stream of ions passing from one to the other. So one's a cathode and one's an anode. So you've created a battery by putting a gold tack and a silver tack in the ear. You've created a battery similar to a car battery. So what you have done is you have polarized the ear. You have polarized an energy matrix that Auger discovered back in 1954. So once you've set that up and you pick the point with the silver that you want to sedate and the one that you want to tonify, so you may want to sedate the liver, which is commonly upset because of toxins and anger, etc. Or there's a lot of the liver is wood and it controls shaking, etc. So you suppress that with a silver needle, and you want to tonify the kidney because that's the heart of all the energy, and it's also the immune system, on and on and on and on. And it's great for prenatal chi, so for development disorders in kids. So what I'm saying is you can see the way I'm thinking here and talking, rhapsodizing, is you have a principle and then you have the precision with the wisdom medicine of finding the right matrix, the right stimulation, so that you can employ neuroplasticity because you're away from the area of injury. Okay, so in a cath lab, before they're installing a pacemaker, cutting the body open, installing, they want something other than just anesthesia because they got to sync the heart with the body. So less anesthesia, better synchronization. So yours that go up there and do your shit. And so I invent this. I pull it out of the Italian scientists' theory matrix, Galvin, that between two dissimilar metals, there's a flow of ions. And I set up a battery, and then I use other points in that matrix to have flow of ions because the aeronautical engineers at Notre Dame said when you pass current through a traumatized area of the body, first of all, when it's traumatized, it loses its north-south polarity. When you restore north-south polarity with a magnetic field or an electrical field, you restore polarity and you hasten recovery. So I'm taking that theory plus Auger's theory of the matrix. It's a energetic matrix, and using Galvin's principle, setting up a field with two dissimilar metals, and then use the other metals that are magnetized to stimulate the points. And voila, less anesthesia when you're installing a pacemaker. Now, what other school in the country is doing that? What other patient other than Stroger is having that done? It's an apple to be plucked because it's principle and precision. And it's just waiting to then check as they come out of that procedure how fast they recover and how accurate the sync is between their heart and the pacemaker. You're able to monitor the results and use that feedback to fine tune or get off your horse and find another horse. So I used to publish Oriental Medicine Journal. I was working at the drug clinic using Michael Smith's 5-point. But I had this patient, a woman who was an addict, who had shoulder pain. Now, this is going to really reach a little bit to show you what's possible under the category we're talking about here, what's proper stimulation. So we just found out that you can use the ASP needles to rewire the ear and accelerate results. So I'm up there in Waukegan, and I forgot my ear seeds. This was when acupuncture was a class 4 felony. You couldn't use needles, so I was using ear seeds when I started at Nakasa. But no ear seeds. But I'm a homeopath. I started homeopathy the same time that I started acupuncture. And I started with the 12 cell salts, which happen, each of those separate cell salts relates to a separate acupuncture meridian. And nobody knows that. Very few do. So this is called coherent medicine. Coherent medicine is defined as different modalities that can communicate with each other, and using technology and the disparity of those two modalities synergistically create a bigger, better result. That's what's happened with the Noget, the tacks, the darts. And so I had some cell salts with me, and they're very tiny. And I said, what if I take Mag-Phos, which is a cell salt that is for pain, and that was developed by a German doctor, Schussler, back in the 1800s. He found that you have 12 basic fundamental minerals in the body. If the body is burned, they have these 12 minerals in combination that are specific to function. And I took Mag-Phos on a pair of tweezers, put it on some tape because you can't touch it. You touch it, you take it. And I took that Mag-Phos pellet and I put it on her shoulder point in place of the ear seed, and I said, move your shoulder, and she did with no pain. I said, aha, like Franklin putting the key on the kite string, huh? Aha. And I routinely use cell salts on different acupuncture points because they are energetic, they're a vibration, and that's what we have is vibrational medicine. Qi is a vibration. And never forget, the Yi, this is a Qigong line, and we'll talk about that next time. We may have a whole separate discussion next session on the Yi leading the Qi, which is Qigong and Neigong. So I took that pellet and I put it on that patient's ear instead of an ear seed, which is a nuked radish seed anyway from China, and got extraordinary results. I upped the ante. I got creative, which is what our ancestors did. Well, looks like the pressure worked. Let's see if we toast it a little. Let's see what happens if we make it hot. Oh, look at that. Wait a minute. Now someone's working on some new material there. It's called metal. Let's see if we can jam one of those and what happens. You see? And then we went to, with Noget, we went to light. And now the next thing I want to talk about before we end is sound. So in that homeopathic area, I had a young autistic patient, and his mother said, "What can you do, Dr. Frank?" Well, I looked in Schussler's book of cell salts, and I found magphosphate. So a lot of autistic kids, because it is a kidney deficiency, and the teeth are the sprouts of the kidney. He had delayed dentition. He didn't have his molars in. He had a lot of teeth that had not come in, and he was 12 years old, 14 years old. So that shows me prenatal chi, kidney, anything we can do to tonify the kidney is going to help everything. And if we can accelerate him out of the prenatal chi into the postnatal chi domain, we can get some progress. See, so there's principle behind my thinking. I have a friend that took those 12 cell salts and made those vibrations in the little tablet, converted them to sound, subsonic, and had a CD with a track for each of the 12 cell salts, 12 tracks. And you could pick a track and have the person listen to it, and they would get well. They would get a dose of the cell salt, which is homeopathic vibration, which was converted to subsonic to sound. And I said to the mother of this patient, I want you to play this track with Calc Fleur, which is a cell salt. And one of the benefits of Calc Fleur is that it helps in delayed dentition. So she played that track through the night. Her son didn't hear it. He listened through the ear, which is the kidney, external opening to the kidney. So we were doing kidney tonification by stimulating the ear with this sound that he couldn't hear that had Calc Fleur, I think it was, on the track. That's the whole track he listened to. And she called me the next morning and said, Dr. Frank, his teeth came in last night. The teeth that had been buried in his gums for 14 years erupted after listening to that track. Principle and precision. Diagnosis and finding the right point and the right way to stimulate it. It was the topic of our conversation, and we'll see how that works in terms of the yi, or the will, or the intent, guiding the chi next time we get together in terms of Qigong and Neigong. Thank you very much.
Thank you.